What's up, old buddy?
Hey Lee, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. First off, first question. Tell me what the hell's going on with the pickles and the Mac computer from 1991.
Yeah, this thing's a collector's item.
Wow. Is that a computer or is that like a?
Yeah, it's one of those original iMacs. Super cool. Not sure that it still works. Um, I hate pickles. I know you love pickles from our experience.
They're my favorite.
I hate pickles, but my kids got me the thick variety. Um, so we just keep them back there. Not too much of a story to that. And hold on one sec.
Drink my monster.
My beautiful bride from high school.
Oh wow. Did you know her then?
Check it. No. Check out Lies.
Look at her.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Tell her
All
I
right,
miss her.
I will.
Tell her Alicia misses her too, and the kids.
Yeah, I will.
Brody's downstairs. I should get him up here and let him do a little pseudo appearance and say hello here in a minute.
I was just showing somebody with Thursday Night Football. I was like, this is what Lee Smith's son Brody looked like last time I saw him, which he was like, 5 foot nothing, cute smile, wearing collared shirts, and this is what he looks like now.
Just a dirtbag like his old man. Chip off the
He's
old
a
block.
savage. He's the biggest 13, 14-year-old on earth right now, I think.
It's yeah, it's wild. He broke his knee in half his first ever high school football experience, and then decided to gain 20 pounds laying around and somehow could still move. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
I like to
Well,
think
he's going to be a great offensive tackle in the NFL, just like you.
no question, and but hopefully he'll actually get paid like one. That'll be even better.
Yeah, yeah. Don't get paid like a blocking tight end. Paid like a tackle. I love that.
And block the same guys. You just have to actually do it the whole game instead of getting to play 25 plays like I did. I'll, ne- I'll never forget. I used to run on the field on third down, and you would literally be so mad. Like, all right, now these assholes know that I only have four options to throw the ball to, and they're just going to drop everyone. And I,
You know what? My favorite though, like playing with you or watching games, after we were on the same team, a Lee Smith touchdown was like that just got me going. When you could see in the box score, one catch, 1 yard, one touchdown, like that was it for me. That got me excited.
we need to do some research on my 11 touchdowns. Let's me and you make a bet right now. Friendly wager,
Okay.
$50. How many total yards were my 11 touchdowns? Over and under.
Let's
And I
see.
swear I
Can
don't
you
know the
just
numbers.
but can you help me out? And what was the longest touchdown you scored? I just need to know that.
Under
Like,
under 20.
okay, under 20. So
And I would say at least 6 of them were for one.
yeah,
So the
for
other
sure.
the other 3 or 4 is the over and under numbers.
So if I put it at 38 total yards, 38 and a half, would you take the over or under?
I'm gonna take oh man, that's a good. I'll take the over, but I'm probably wrong.
Okay. No, because I want to take the over too. Let's set
All
it
right,
at
how about
43. Let's
43? I'm
set it at
going under.
43 and a half. You're going under. I'll go over 43 and a half
All right,
for $50.
$50.
Beautiful.
I'll let you know at the end. I'm sure I have somebody here that could look that up. Actually, you know what? I'll look it up.
Hey, you
No, I
know what,
won't.
Lee? One of the bets we have in my house right now,
Let me hear it.
with my oldest Brady or second oldest Tate, if Mike Gesicki scores a touchdown, then they have to gritty for the rest of the day. So I'll be like, all right, Brady, take out the trash. And he's got to grab the trash and he's got to gritty his way to the trash can with the trash bag. Unfortunately, Miami stopped throwing Mike the ball. So he hasn't scored since we made that bet. But I'm looking forward to the day when it happens.
Must be a contract year. That's funny how that happens in contract years. The balls stop coming to you as much at times. Or when they
No,
trade for
it's
Tyreek Hill, it sure doesn't help.
well, it's crazy because they franchised him.
Ugh.
Uh, and so he signed there, and then he just doesn't really fit in the new offensive system. They don't ever really play him or throw him the ball, so it's been a tough year.
One of my good buddies is their coordinator, Frank Smith. I don't think Frank is running the show. I'd say the big boss man is calling the plays. But as soon as that coach got hired, I'm thinking, oh, poor Mike. This ain't gonna bode well. I love Mike. Had a lot of fun giving Mike shit walking through the tunnels over the years, but I'm not taking him into a bar fight with me, to say the least.
Well, you delivered one of the all-time best lines to him. You must have been. Were you in Buffalo and I was in Miami, or where were you in 19 and 20?
Buffalo.
Atlanta,
I was back in
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we were walking through the tunnel, and he's already intimidated as hell looking at you. And I don't remember exactly what you said. You said, "Dang, you are cute," or something like that. He
Oh,
just lost it.
oh,
By the way, Frank Smith, I finally got to meet him for the first time. His younger brother was my, or maybe older, no, younger brother was my college center. How
no,
about that?
no kidding.
Yeah, yeah,
Frank, yeah, Frank used to always tell me he definitely got the good genetics on size and athleticism, but on the brains he was lacking compared to the rest of his family. I guess he's got a bunch of brainiacs in his family. Um,
yeah. Andy's a smart dude.
but he was literally one of my most cherished coaches I ever played for. Just the way he handled himself, I'll never forget. He walked in. You remember OG Bobby Johnson?
Oh yeah,
So obviously Bobby coached me for a long time in two different spots, and we've been around each other forever. Bobby's one of my dearest friends as well, but he left the room with me and Jared Cook, and Jared wouldn't mind me saying this. Let's put it this way: it wasn't an easy room to walk in after the relationship me and Jared had with Bobby, especially being a straight-laced white guy like Frank is. So he
yeah.
walks in and puts a PowerPoint on the board. I swear it's like a 40-page PowerPoint, and we walk outside, and I'm like, bro, like you got two veterans. We've played whatever it was, 200 games combined between the two of us. If you ever do some shit like that again, we're never gonna listen to anything you say. Like, like let's work hard and be tough and blah blah blah. And this is how our room, the culture in our room. And me and Jared were looking at each other like, hey, we'll name the culture in this room, big boy. Take your PowerPoint over
Yeah.
to the rookies. It was hilarious. But Frank's the best man. He's such a great dude. He'll be a head coach in the very near future. There is no doubt about it. Especially
Great.
getting in that system he's in now, and the young offensive guys being such a fad right now for obvious reasons. Points are what's popular in the NFL. So I can't wait to watch him become the boss and watch how he handles it. That's my guy, Frank Smith.
Yeah. I'll add a little bit to what you're saying. It's funny because when you look at good teams and good cultures around a building, it is the superstars, it is the young guys that are developing, but it's also the glue guys. And for me, those glue guys that become pillars of your organization are so important. And you were always one of those guys that, there was no bullshit in the locker room. There was a great communication between coach and player, and it's so important when you're developing a culture, especially a winning culture, to have guys like that in the locker room. And I think that's something that fans don't really see, because they see the stats, they see the superstars, but you were always one of my all-time favorite teammates. And I know there's a lot of guys that'll say that about you, and so much of it was mentality, coming to work every day with the right attitude, and being somebody that you knew that you could count on in any situation, especially on a 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line where nobody would ever cover you. You could throw it up and score a touchdown every now and again.
Appreciate that. Jump into the
Yeah,
fans party, but I think my thing always was, man, like I just I just wanted my teammates to love me and respect me. That was it. And I got raised by you and Kyle Williams, and even having Scott Chandler. We'll call him Mike Gesicki Senior. Um, and 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 just dudes that truly understood we were like the land of the rejects when I came to Buffalo. I mean, it was veterans that had been on different teams and been told they weren't good enough, with the exception of Kyle, obviously, and Fred and some of those guys that were mainstays in Buffalo forever. But just the dudes that were just like me, guys that didn't care about playing in Dallas for Jerry and the Cowboys and being in the lights. It was a bunch of dudes that just loved each other and just wanted to play ball, and knew what the NFL was all about. I'll never forget, Dawson Knox used to always tell me, thanks for stealing my NFL innocence. Like, you just punched me right in the face with the realness of this business. Like the first week I was on the team. I mean, that's what I got taught by the Ryan Fitzpatricks and Kyle Williams and Scott Chandlers and all these guys. Like, this isn't for kids. It's a grown ass man's business. And if you just do things the right way and be a true pro, you'll play as long as you want to play. And I'll always be thankful for you guys, man, because you allowed me to just be me. And I was able to thrive for a long time because of that. But I think the bottom line is I just didn't. I didn't give. Here we go. The non-political Lee Smith, my first ever podcast. By the way, this is the Hut Hut podcast. I don't know if it'll actually go anywhere or not, but the name came from the bearded Santa Claus here. Used to always say Hut Hut at the end of every conversation or phone call or text, and it stuck with me forever. So now everybody out there that thought that was my slogan and I invented it, that is false. It came from this guy. But it's just the best, man, that you guys were able to truly show me how to be a pro. Because I'll never forget, man, I got to New England as a draft pick, and hell, I'm the oldest tight end in the room. Algie Crumpler
Well,
retired.
tell him how old you were.
Tw-
I mean, how
20,
old were you?
23.
You were 23, and how many kids did you have?
Alicia was pregnant with our third one, Brock. So,
Yeah, so like you were 23, but really you were 33.
yeah, 100%.
Maybe not in body, but in mind, and you were a father of almost three as a rookie.
100%. We had a lot of fun in college, me and Alicia, donating plasma and mowing every yard in Huntington, West Virginia to pay the mortgage at our $67,000 humble abode we lived in. We come a long way, old buddy. I got bricks on my house and shit now. It's pretty cool. But
You know what though? You know what? I love the humility because let's pull back the curtain behind you on the podcast here, just
yeah,
so we know what kind of studio we're sitting in.
yeah,
Yeah,
like that.
there we go.
It's
So even though you're Lee Smith, veteran NFL, retired, all kinds of money now,
whoa.
we still
Whoa.
have our humble beginnings.
Yeah, Alicia Smith's money. She just lets me borrow some here and there. I'm still saving
Yeah.
up for a hat like that and some fresh pickles, the thick kind.
Yeah, no doubt. Got
But
some bricks on the wall, just like you.
look at that. You even have them indoors.
Yeah.
But how about I come in, I got the oldest dude in the league. Not really, but oh yeah, back to the New England thing. That's what was crazy is like Algie Crumpler literally retires the week it was the lockout, as I'm sure I would have loved as a veteran, just like the COVID year was the best offseason ever. But it just like the lockout was the best offseason ever for you guys, but it sure wasn't the best for a rookie getting drafted to Bill Belichick system with Tom there and your boy Tom and then and Algie retires, and I walk in the room, and it's Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski and another free agent rookie. I don't remember where the guy was from, Will something or other. But and I'm looking around, and I'm like, son of a bitch! I hope every tight end of the NFL doesn't look like these two guys, or I'm in trouble. And thank God I got cut, and I get to Buffalo, and I get paired with Scott Chandler and a 47-year-old David Martin, and I'm like, all right, I can play in this league. Thank God.
I can do this.
That
Yeah,
was
that
good.
might have been one of the greatest combination tight end rooms of all time there with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski.
If you find a better one, please let me know. And
Yeah.
obviously, Aaron's story was horrific. We everybody knows how that show ended, but yeah, and they were raw then too. I mean, they were 21, 22-year-old kids, literally about to take over the tight end position as a 1-2 punch for the next 15 years if Aaron wouldn't have been caught up. But anyways, yeah, it was crazy. Crazy. Buffalo, New York. Living your. Do you remember the time that it's just to show everybody what a great person Ryan Fitzpatrick is, and to all my teammates out there that might have thought that there was something special about me, just to show the person that raised me. I'll never forget. I think it was because I broke my leg my first year, the very end of the season. Remember that? And then I came.
Yeah, you were soft.
100%. Soft bones. Need to drink more milk. More goat's milk. I guess cow's milk's bad for you, so they say. I don't know. I'll start drinking chicken milk. But but anyway, so I break my leg my rookie year. I decided not to buy a house in Tennessee just because I had $127,000 in the bank probably, and that was going to run out fast through a whole NFL offseason. I had to pay off a bunch of college debts and different things from me and Alicia surviving through college together. But anyway, so I didn't buy a house until after my second year when I got a little more comfortable. and we were about to close on a house that we had drove. We had just got back from Buffalo, and Alicia was pregnant with our fourth one, Addison, and we 2 days before closing, after we had just gotten back from Knoxville, driving back and forth in my wife's Suburban, the real estate agent calls me, and Alicia was 7 or 8 months pregnant. A real estate agent calls me and says, "Hey, house had a bunch of liens against the title, can't close, blah blah blah. The house is a no go, won't happen." So I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I immediately tell her I want to see every house in Knoxville, Tennessee, with this many bedrooms and this many bathrooms this weekend. We need a house. And I walked 4 houses down to the old bearded Santa Claus, and I said, "Bro, I just drove back and forth to Knoxville in my wife's Suburban. She's going to kill me if we have to do it again. She's fat and pregnant. Can I borrow your RV?" And you just tossed me the keys.
Take it.
And
Take it, baby.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. We were at a rest stop 7 hours later, sleeping all night long, and found our house that we lived in for the first 9 years of our career, and all that happened with just walking down the street and asking your veteran buddy if you could borrow an RV that who knows if I was even qualified to drive at that point. But we made it down and back. I'm sure it was insured. But just looking at all those memories from you, man, I think one time I lost credit card roulette. I'm pretty sure this is real. Either I lost or somebody else lost. Been hitting the head a lot in between, just like you have. But somebody lost. I think it was me, and it was a few $1,000. We were at the Mulberry or somewhere. It wasn't one of those goofy $20,000 deals that a lot of these guys rack up. It's hard to do that in Buffalo. But I was sitting there with it in my lap. I want to say it was me, or maybe it was the person sitting next to me. But I felt like the emotional strain of that 2 minutes. It was probably me because I remember it. And you had snuck in the back and paid it. And obviously, I'll never forget little moments like that. It just taught me how to be a veteran player to these guys. Like my whole career, whether it's Dawson Knox, Kyle Pitts, Clive Walford, whoever, these guys that they drafted, to take my job or at least compete against me or be a 1-2 punch to me as the blocking guy. Like I wasn't gonna hammer them with a $5,000 rookie dinner. I wasn't gonna
Right.
pepper them with all the bullshit. I was just gonna teach them how to be pros and love on them and try to help them get the life that I had because that's exactly what you guys did for me. So I'll always appreciate that, man, for sure.
Yeah, and it's okay to have fun along the way. It's okay to have you feel that mental and emotional anguish of looking at a $2,000 bill and thinking about how you're going to call Alicia and tell her you're taking some of her money. But uh, in the end, for me, it was always paying it forward because I had good veterans too. I had great veterans that treated me the right way. A couple that didn't, but then you learn like, okay, when I'm in that situation, I don't want to be that guy. And so for me, I took all those great things that happened to me from older guys and I paid it forward. And then you did the same thing. And hopefully that continues just to trickle down. You've got a lot of great people and great teammates in this league. And that's what it is when it comes down to it. Now that we're both old and retired, it's the memories. It's those little silly memories. It's the stuff in the locker room. It's dressing up for Halloween and going to the Halloween party with your families. Those are all the things that I'm most proud of and the things that'll stick with me throughout my career.
100%. I'll never forget. We uh we went back to Buffalo when I was in Atlanta my final year. It was the very end of the season, and I knew. I mean, we had been texting back and forth. Me and you were both retiring for 3 years, but
Yeah.
um, but shout out to my man Rodney Hudson out in Arizona. Surely he'll shut it down after this year. He's been retiring for 5. But anyways, and we go up there and play. So I called Joe with the Mulberry, and I'm like, "Hey man, I need you to shut the restaurant down. I'm gonna have Falcons players and Bills players in there, and I'm not trying to have like media, talking about it or whatever." And it was Josh Allen sitting with Matt Ryan and just all these dudes, and it was one of those full circle moments at the very end of my career of like, all right, man, like I didn't catch many balls, I didn't score many touchdowns, I had a few personal fouls over the years, a few holding penalties here and there. Went on a jumping off side spree one season. I think I set an NFL record
Mm.
potentially. All these moments that potentially I was hated on from the outside or anything happened. You know, everybody has their opinions, which is great. That's what makes football so special. Being hated, being loved, all that stuff, no problem. I love it. But it was that full circle moment of just looking at Josh Allen sitting with Matt Ryan and teammates from other teams, and it was like, all right, man. Like, if nothing else, I did my teammates right, and that shit fires me up because that's all I wanted to do, bro. And you taught me that. All you guys did. I need to
And I
quit.
hope,
I
I
need.
hope,
I need
I
to
hope
quit.
with that too, though, who paid that bill? Hopefully Matt or Josh paid that bill. They didn't stick you with
One
that bill.
hundred percent.
Yeah, yeah. So you learned well there too. Like it's let the big money guys take care of that stuff.
One
You
hundred
know.
percent. That's like somebody said yesterday, and there's and first off, I need to quit using Kyle Williams as a reference in this talk because he's an asshole. He didn't really help me with anything except for how to be a grumpy veteran. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there in case anybody's watching. His pregame speeches were 16 times a year, and they were awesome. Besides that, he was an asshole. But Kyle, we love you. So um, but somebody said to me yesterday, and poor Matt, man, like he's so being with him. If I would have never been with him, I might have a different opinion on the situation. But the fact that I was with him, he's very Tom Brady esque. The way he carries himself in the building, the way he's built, the way he moves, the way he throws the football, all those things. And for him to be a part of the two biggest losses or comebacks or whatever he's got going, it's just like so brutal. And but at the end of the day, kind of like you're saying with the dinner bills, it's like you know what, man, $300 million sure helps with that pain.
Yeah, I
but
tell you, he. So we
but it's
had we
terrible,
had
man,
him.
terrible.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. But he, MVP of the league, has obviously passed for a zillion yards, probably top five in all those statistics. And a lot of teammates over the years that all respect him. But we had him on the desk for Thursday Night Football. It was Indy, Denver. One of the we had a run of like 4 games in a row there where we were just praying for somebody to score a touchdown, and they end up winning the game like crazy. Matt brings them back, from the dead. Just I'm watching the game going, why is this dude still doing this? He's just getting beat up like every throw. He's getting hit. And then he came on the desk. They showed his speech in the locker room. It was like he's so presidential. He's so polished and put together and loves playing the game and loves playing for his teammates. Even for a guy that's accomplished as much as he has right now, still out there getting knocked down on every single play and still fighting. He's one of those guys, I think, as players, we respect him a lot more than maybe the fan bases do at this point in his career. But that's a guy that I really look up to for some of the stuff he's gone through and the way that he still plays.
There's truly no one I've ever been around like him. Like you said on Thursday Night Football, you and Josh have very very similar qualities as men, as leaders. He's not a dad and a husband yet, but he'll be great at that. You know,
But what are some of Josh and I's differences, Lee? If you
um,
could,
one is Harvard educated, so that's a big difference. The other,
thanks for the
you
compliment.
got it, man. One can take apart that original Mac computer and put it back together and install an app on it. The other is a freaking avatar. so, so like it's like he got shit out from a different planet. It's unbelievable. It
Yeah.
truly is. I mean, as big as he is, as fast as he is, as strong as he is, and let's not forget it. And people can throw shade at me all they want. I'll never forget moving back to Buffalo, New York in 2019. I call Kyle and I say, "What's the deal with the young buck?" He's like, "He's awesome. He has no idea what to do with the thing hanging off his right shoulder yet, but when he figures that out, it's going to be dangerous. But you'll love him, leader of men, great in the locker room, like he's the best." I'm like, "Okay, awesome." Because you know how that show goes. You go to a team with a poor quarterback, and it's a long year, and it's hard on your family when you get home, and it's just like if that position ain't right, then nothing's right. So I'm like, no
Right.
problem. He doesn't have to be going to the Hall of Fame as long as he's a great person and about the right things. I'm all in. I'm going back to Buffalo. We love Buffalo. And I'm in the front yard. I don't know, early fall. We're getting booed off the field at halftime. Josh Allen's never thrown for 300 yards. And this is the Buffalo community. This isn't ESPN. And he's never thrown for 300 yards, and he's a bust. And where's Jim Kelly's air at, and all this shit that you've heard all your career there, and the ups and downs you had. And it's like that's what people don't realize what this man truly did to become the Josh Allen he is now. Like his first 2 years in the league. I mean, I'll never forget when Steph came to Buffalo. He first got traded, and I'm like, hey man, listen, this dude is a leader of men. Period. You're gonna love him. I don't know Kirk Cousins. I've never been around him. I hear good things about him. I think him and Derek Carr probably have a lot of similarities, and just the personalities they have. And I hate to call him a choir boy, but that's probably fair. They're just solid, great. Josh Allen's got the dirt bag in him, and you take Josh Allen into a bar fight with you, and you come out with a smile on your face. But I told Steph, I said, there's going to be times that you run right by somebody, and the ball is going to land 8 yards in front of you, and you're going to be dead sprinting trying to get to it. I said, so don't get frustrated, man. Just give him time because he'll work. He'll do things the right way. And he came back to training camp, and I was like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
this Palmer dude, whatever he's doing or whatever he's feeding these guys, teaching these guys, I'm like, son of a bitch. So I've never seen anything like it, man. I've been doing this a long time. I've been around a lot of quarterbacks. I got to Derek in his second year in Oakland. Derek's just an absolute arm talent. I was with you, who was a madman with a beer belly and a hairy back that was just going to try to run over people you had no business running over. That's the difference. Josh has business running them over, and
Yeah.
so so
Well, I tell you, to that point though, when sitting there watching that Miami game this last week, and what a great game, back and forth the whole time. Snow starts coming down. Josh gets the ball at the end. They're going to win. But the biggest thing for me when people ask me about him, yes, it's the talent. Yeah, that improvement that he made is unbelievable. But he had that one play where Landon Roberts hits him out of bounds, and Josh, it kind of flops a little bit, but goes down. And before Josh could stand up, there are four offensive linemen that are willing to die on the field for that man.
100%.
And it's one of those, linemen protect the quarterback, yes, but like it is so ingrained in them because of the human being that he is. And then, Josh walked over and kind of stood on the sideline and watched them as they were going to town on the Landon Roberts and whoever else. But they will die on the field for Josh Allen. And that's something that can't be taught. You can't fake it. Like that's who he is. And in those moments, it comes out with the guys he's playing with. And those are the moments you love to see.
And that's the thing. Like, there's so many gurus. Hell, you work with them now. All of them got it all figured out. They know what's going on, and it's like, if you truly want to know someone, ask their teammates. Watch those moments. Like you said, the glue guys, the guys in the locker room that are truly holding everything together. That's why Buffalo is so special right now, and people don't realize it. Their best players are also their glue and leader guys, and that almost makes it unfair. Normally, your glue and leader guy is the clown that's running around the locker room naked and acting up, and he's like sometimes it might be the quarterback with a big beard, sometimes it might not be, but typically it's a long snapper or a special teams ace or a backup offensive lineman, or just the guy that no matter what happens, whether you're 10-0 or 0-10, he's going to keep things light. Khalif Barnes was that way for us in Oakland. One of my all-time favorite teammates, still a dear friend, but the Josh Allens, the Stephs, even the Gabe Davises, these dudes that are making the most plays are also the guys that are the leaders and holding the locker room together and keeping things light. And Josh is always going to be that way. I tell people all the time, he's a 10-year-old. Like I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sitting there on the couch the other night. And I don't watch much football, but I'm watching the first half expire, and I'm like, please complete this freaking pass, you maniac. Because if
Yeah.
not, it's going to be three.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? But that's
The
him,
clock went
man.
from 8 seconds to zero. He's still holding on to it. But in his mind, that's a great play because he knows he's going to complete it.
No
You
question.
know?
No question. That's what makes him great. Like he's a madman. But only a madman would do that. Like
Yeah.
it's that ball's incomplete, they lose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're right.
and
But I also say, I am so happy. He's got a couple commercials coming out now. And goofy side a little bit, whatever. But have you seen the New Era commercial
no.
where he's playing with the young
Oh yeah.
kids, and it's like that. As a human being, that's who that guy is, and it shows through in that commercial. But that's not fake. That's as real as it gets with him.
100%. And you can't hardly hide bad character anymore. Don't get me on my social media rabbit hole and how it's ruining everyone, especially kids. We won't go down that one, but like it's hard to truly hide as much as you could have back in the day, especially as athletes and entertainers. Dudes obviously live different lives behind closed doors than what you might see. It's hard to hide anymore. There's still some dudes that do it, obviously, but that dude, like, it's the trifecta. This is the you ready for the Lee Smithism trifecta of how I judge
I
people?
can't wait.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You can steal this. Like I stole Hut Hut, you can steal this. All right.
Okay.
And judge is the wrong word. How I decide whether or not someone is my friend. I try not to judge anyone because I'm screwed up enough. I sure don't want to be judged. So no judgment here. This is how I decide if you're my friend. You have to meet two of the three. Would I go into a bar fight with you? Would I want you on my football team? And then the third one is the one almost everybody misses that stays in the friend zone. Only few people hit the trifecta. Would I let you marry my daughter? Would I go into a bar fight with you? Would I want you as a teammate? And would I let you marry my daughter? Josh Allen's the trifecta. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the trifecta. There's just not that many trifectas out there with that Lee Smithism. Plenty of dudes that I would want as teammates and I would go into a bar fight with, but they sure as hell ain't marrying my daughter. Not if I
There's
haven't.
probably plenty. There's probably plenty of guys that you have been teammates with that you've been in a bar fight with. Correct.
It's close enough. Yes.
Younger days.
Younger
Younger
days. Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah. When I left Buffalo the first time, I buried that Lee Smith, and guys have been begging me to awaken him for 8 years, and I will.
No.
Nope, nope. He's done. He's buried.
You channel that into something else now for
Yeah,
sure.
no
You
question,
channel all that. Yeah.
no question. But that's the best. So here's what's crazy. Oh, and back to Maddie. This is one thing I will say about Maddie. It just jumped back in my brain. People describe toughness in different ways. Like just because you can go into a bar fight doesn't necessarily mean you're the toughest guy in the room. Like those combine pictures of Tom Brady out there in his wonderful physique. I don't care how much TB12 protein powder he's selling. His physique ain't changed much over the years. He's not winning an Arnold Classic to say the least. Maddie's the same way. I mean, they're just genetically built to do jump rope and throw footballs. So,
Yeah.
so, but the way Matt Ryan, at however old he is, stands in there and gets his chest cavity caved in all game long. He's not doing the Peyton dive. He's not doing the protect the QBR, which is the one thing Josh Allen will sure never do. He's a madman. That's Josh's big. Josh hates to protect the QBR quarterbacks. They drive him insane.
There's a couple you might have mentioned earlier on the show, but keep going.
I don't know what you're talking about. One of them's a dear friend of mine, old buddy. But to protect the rating, man. Hey, get it. These guys got 40 million reasons a year to protect the rating. I guess it's like the defensive ends that let you kick their ass on first and second down. Then all of a sudden they come to life on third. It's a different world now. There aren't as many true men in this game as there were back in the day. John Randall would have a feast in 2023 football. Let's put it that way. But anyways, but the way Matty would come into work every morning because we were the first ones in the building most days. He was already there when I was there. It was like when I played with Charles Woodson in Oakland. You can't beat those guys into the building. There's a reason they're still playing at that age. Like like you said, bro, he's getting destroyed. Like killed. Ever since they blew up the salary cap and it turned into a shit show in Atlanta, he's had no protection. They tried to fix it with first round draft picks on the O line down there for the last few years. And then in Indy, obviously the O line had some issues and blew up. Like he gets killed. And he can't run away. That's not an option.
Right.
So he just gets destroyed and gets up and does it over and over and over. He's one of the toughest men I've ever been around, and he ain't never been in a fight in his life. But he's one of the toughest men I've ever played with, and I will love him and respect him until I walk away. I'm like you. I look up to him. It's rare as an 11-year veteran going to a new team that there's an OG like that you can even still look up to and admire and be proud to have played with and known and call a friend. So me and Matty, anything that man ever needs, I'm a phone call away. But yeah, he's special.
Yeah, Tony G, who's on our little TNF panel, obviously Hall of Fame, maybe greatest tight end ever, says a lot of great things about Matt as well. And it's hard, for us and our job, it's hard to sit there and then have to criticize. You got to be critical of this guy, like everything that you see that he's going through, and the team that he's on, and that what he's accomplished in his career. Obviously, everything that's going on there is not really all on Matt. Um,
100%.
so to sit there and have to be critical of a guy that is a former MVP and a guy that you love as a human being, sometimes is the hardest part of what we do.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier about teammates, and I won't bring up dudes' names, but ask a guy about a guy he played with, and immediately just feel his energy. If he can't wait to talk about the guy, it just comes naturally. Ask Tony G
Yep.
about Matt Ryan. He's just going to start vomiting out his mouth all the good things because there's so many good things he can't pick a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
If they kind of take a pause and they almost feel like they're trying to figure out something nice to say, like you can feel it. Like just ask dudes' teammates about them. It never fails. If you find a guy out there that doesn't love Ryan Fitzpatrick, then that dude's flawed. Send him to
Well,
me.
I'll say too, I always love, getting to a new team, getting in that equipment room early and saying, "What do you guys think about this guy? What do you guys think about this?" Because they see it all, right?
one Hundred
Those
percent.
guys, they see it all. They deal with it all. They had to put up with guys' shit. You know, they treated with respect? Are they not? Those guys right there have a great feel for what that building is like, who the pillars are, who the guys that should be gone. So I always like doing that too. Just having a little lunch in there,
Oh, 100.
bringing in my not my salad, my cheeseburger and
No,
fries,
I was about to say
and
salad.
just yeah, no, definitely not salad. That's the new NFL with the lineman is eating salad, which is a strange thing. But yeah, bringing in the cheeseburger, just sitting down and what do you think about this guy? And they shoot you straight, and they know everybody inside and out. So I think that's a good, and I don't know that people use that enough. That resource when I'm in free agency saying, "Gosh, should I sign Lee Smith?" Yes, I can ask his friends and all that. I want to ask the equipment guys from Buffalo or the equipment guys from Atlanta, like, what is this dude made out of? They'll give you a straight answer.
100%. 100%. Besides me potentially running in the equipment room naked, I'm assuming they would have majority of good things to say.
I think they would tell those stories with smiles on their faces too, though.
No question. Yeah, the equipment guys are the best. Because the other reason the equipment guys are the best is because they are literally in charge of practice. So on the days that you think you might be getting a bone, they're the first ones that the head coach goes and says, "Hey, don't set up practice today. Don't waste your time on the 2 hours of bags and water." And well, the trainers normally have the water, but they have so much to do every day just to let practice flow. And most head coaches I've been around, even though they know the equipment guys will leak it to most of the veteran leaders, they still don't want to put those guys through the nightmare of a 2 hour setup when practice isn't happening because either
Yeah.
A, we're going bowling, or B, they're going to strip the pads off early or whatever. So, yeah, that's the best room on every team. The trainers are great. The weight room is great. Obviously, every staff has a different vibe in those areas, but the equipment guys are the gold standard. It's the same everywhere. They're the best. They're the dudes that have been around forever, have all the stories, and love everybody. So yeah, they're the best.
But that is when you truly reach veteran status, when you can become one of those guys where you can go up to a Jeff Mazurek
My
and
God,
say, "Hey Jeff, are we practicing today or not?" And there's two or three guys on a team that the equipment guys will leak that to.
no
So when
question.
you can become one of those guys that they feel comfortable telling, and then you hold that power over everybody else where they're going to come up and you're going to be the guy, "Hey Lee, are we practicing or not?" And you can give the wry smile and I don't know, I don't know.
No
And then
question.
you start saying buses are out front and oh, there's a snow cone machine in the back. Just start spreading rumors a little bit. But that's when you can hold that power over everybody. That's like ultimate veteran status.
And it's almost a sign of accomplishment too. Like those are
Yeah.
the things that, as a veteran player, like it's not for me anyways. It's and I was never in a position to set any records by any stretch of the. Besides maybe most touchdowns for least yards, I bet I have that one. But
Yeah.
but
Well, like you said, you jumped off sides quite a bit
yeah.
one of those
So
years, Just
my penalties literally outweighed my touchdown yardage. That's the best. But
well that my dad's favorite thing about watching a Lee Smith game you always knew once that yellow flag was coming out, probably for a 15-yarder, whether it was a personal foul for hitting somebody late, doing a Christian Wilkins under the pile with some getting handsy,
Yeah.
maybe some street talk, but there was always going to be a hanky, maybe every other game with a Lee Smith 15-yarder, which is great.
Well, the thing is, and I got watered down. I mean, I still tried to play the game the right way because I had a 13-year-old son and a 9-year-old son up in the stands watching me, and I wasn't going to listen to them at home over dinner. I played a lot of 1 o'clock games in Atlanta, so it was a lot of had a lot of dinner at home. But me and Cordero, wherever we ended up at the Mexican restaurant or wherever. But I just wanted, especially when I was younger and I could still really go and not get tired and hadn't had 10 surgeries. But I wanted them to hate me. I didn't want them worried about hitting Ryan Fitzpatrick or Fred Jackson or C.J. Spiller. I wanted them to hate me so bad that I consumed their energy. And I personally didn't care what it took. I know I would never go after any guy that I ever played against that literally hates me out there. I would challenge them if they told me I was ever truly dirty because I was not. But
Yeah, and the amount of time I've spent in my life defending you. Oh no, he's a great guy. Like everybody, every team I go to, it's like it's you, it's Richie Incognito, which Richie, you could say there was some dirt there, especially early in his career, but just what this guy, I hate this guy. This I used to hate playing against Lee Smith. He's the worst. Like, and I would just have to defend you and say, no, look, like he's one of those guys you absolutely hate playing against, but if he is on your squad, you let him off the bus first. He's got foam coming out of his mouth, and he's just an asshole. And you love it. You love having him on your team. I think you accomplished that in your career.
yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, I would love to have a panel of those guys and just say, "Hey, hate me, fine, no problem. I actually kind of like that you hate me. That means I did my job. Did I ever do anything truly dirty? Did I ever try to hurt you? Did I ever grab your private region? Now, if my hand ended up around your neck, I'm sorry, it was on purpose." But like,
And I also think you had trouble at some point. You had trouble hearing too, because it was
yeah,
like the whistle would blow. Maybe it was just like the neurons, like you would hear it, but there would be like a 1 second delay in terms of when it would actually register that the whistle had blown.
I think that was my pal Tennessee education, man. Just a little slow thinker, that's all.
Yeah.
But like, when you're a backup role player, I had my niche. They paid me great for it, and I'm very thankful for my career, and I love every minute I had in the NFL. It's the best job in the world. But when the referees come up to you and call you by your first name before the game, and you're a role player, it's like, all right, I'm doing something right. Oh
But
shit,
that
man!
that is that is it. Even like for my kids playing basketball right now, like every basketball team needs a goon, right? There
100%,
is a role, just like on the football field and the basketball field, like there is a role for you and you can find it, but every team needs a goon. And
100%.
you were always that guy, man. You were always that guy with a few touchdowns sprinkled in.
Yeah, I tried to be, brother. And like I said, I just wanted, like, and that's one thing that I always believed in too is like, there's so many great players out there, Fitz, as you know. I mean, you played with every single player in the league the last 17 years. But how was I going to stick out on tape? When I have a wife and 4 kids. At my second year in the league, at 25 years old, I got a vasectomy after my fourth kid. So, by party time. But so like I had so much responsibility to take care of them, and I Google Lee Smith 40 time 5 flat the combine baby just burning just running
Just burning. And
and
that didn't get you didn't get any faster as your career went on.
100% slower. If I could run a 6 flat last year in Atlanta, I'll kiss your ass.
But but how I mean, how amazing is the game that we got to play for so long that you and Kyle Pitts can play the same position,
No question.
right? You could be in the same locker room, you could be in the same meeting room, you could be learning the same stuff, but you had a role maybe that wasn't as important as Kyle's is going to be, but you had a role on that team that was so important to the success of that team. That's why football is the ultimate greatest team sport that there will ever be.
Oh well, no question. And Arthur Smith gets a lot of credit for that in the offense he wants to play. And a lot of people might say he's beating his head against the wall. I disagree. He believes in what he believes in, and And regardless of how much the league's changing, and Arthur's always adapting. He's like he always says, don't be blockbuster. You better keep up with the times. There ain't no reason to bitch and moan about it. Just get better. But I think his belief in offensive philosophy is a lot of the reason why I was able to finish my career there with Kyle. Me and Arthur have had a lot of respect for each other for a long time. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously Kyle's going to be the first tight end to get 20 million a year in the next few years. I've never been. He's an avatar. He's a Josh Allen at the tight end position. But you're dang right, man. It is so special that football is what it is. I don't know much about Major League Baseball, but I know that playing pro football, I spoke the same language as every one of my teammates. You know, half those guys can't even go to lunch together. They don't speak the same language for the love of God. And in the game of basketball, it's very much culturally similar with those guys. It's not as much diversity. And in the game of football, man, there's no reason I should be as close as I am with Marshawn Lynch and Bruce Irvin in the real world. But at the end of the day, you have these brotherhoods with dudes that grew up so different than you from the other side of the country, of different skin colors, of different backgrounds, and you just grow this brotherhood and love for each other that's unbreakable. And it is the most special game on the planet, the most special relationships on the planet. And I just wish that sometimes, not to get all political, I wish the rest of culture could just come function with an NFL team for a week and say, man, those dudes aren't supposed to love each other, but they do. And
Yeah.
that's what makes football badass, man. It's the best.
Yeah. And I've got a quick Marshawn story
My,
that I just saw him, 4 or 5 days ago. We were at Andy Jassy's basement, CEO of Amazon, after the game on Thursday, and um, having a great time, just catching up on old stories with Marshawn. And I had just seen him, a few months before. We are getting ready to go to Fred Jackson's football camp, and our flights ended up having some problems. So we spent 5 hours in the airport together. But one of the most real human beings you will ever meet. So we go to say bye to Andy Jassy. Hey, thanks. We had a great night. Thanks for having us over. And we're walking through the bar in his basement. And just jokingly, I look back at Marshawn and I'm like, dude, this is your time right here. Take one of these bottles for the road. And he pulls up his waistband. He goes, I already did, cuz.
uh,
It was one of the funniest things, like funniest moments of my life. I was like, well, I was just kidding, Marshawn, but yeah, take whatever you want, I guess.
and you were not surprised in the least.
No, not at all, not at all, man. But he's one of a kind. Great teammate. Again, you talk about loyal and somebody that
Oh,
would do anything for you as soon as you're on his team and put on the same jersey. Great dude.
he's he's the best, man. My wife threw a surprise birthday party for me one night in San Francisco, and when I was playing for when me and Marshawn were in Oakland together, and we're standing outside talking, and he just takes off running, never comes back. Don't know where he was going. Don't know why he took off. But to this day, my kids are still like, "Is Marshawn okay? Daddy, is Marshawn okay?" They just and then he shows up in my suite at a Buffalo game a couple years later. Like he's one of the most special human beings on the planet, and I will always. He's in that Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Ryan level with me of just the dudes that I don't care if I have dementia one day. I'll remember my time with Marshawn Lynch and just the impact he has on people. He's special. I
Yeah,
got to get his butt down here and give him a little redneck living experience at some point in Tennessee. We always just talk about it,
he'll
but
fit right
oh,
in.
no question. All
Yeah.
right, final thing. How old were you when I got to? How old were you when I got to Buffalo? You're in your sixth year, I think, right? How many
Was that 2012
How many years
or
did you play? That makes the math easy.
well, I played 17.
All right, so you were in year six. I was in year one. How about us walking away at the same time? You as an old man, me as a younger old man, old soul. And I built a training facility down here in Knoxville, try to be around athletics, be around kids, be around the sport, coach high school football, try to distract myself as much as possible because the statistics are real. Guys struggle. There's nothing like what we did for a living. You go immediately into the booth and being around the game, being on the sideline, partying with Josh Allen. Um, why did you, how important do you think it is to have that solid plan? And it's something that's on my heart and heartstrings for me is, and my wife tells me all the time, hey, quit trying to save the world and help everybody. At some point, you got to sit back and take a nap or get a full night's sleep and take care of yourself. But sometimes I feel like I am the way I am. I'm just so passionate about helping dudes and like maybe whatever it is, whether it's a podcast or just me and you talking or whatever. But like, how how important is it that guys like me and you, when we knew we were at the end, which most dudes don't get to choose don't get to stamp their last play or last game like we
Right.
did. But was that always something you knew? Like, I'm going to make sure I have a phase two in line before I walk away, or did it just happen naturally because you're Ryan Fitzpatrick and so loved? Like, how did you plan that transition as seamlessly as you did?
It kind of happened naturally. When I was playing, and the advice I would give people when they're playing, everybody's so worried about the next step and what you're going to do after you're done that it takes away from your focus of what you're doing now. And so, especially for some of these young guys still on their first contract and whatever it is, like they're already looking at, okay, what's next? No, focus in the now, focus on your job, focus on what you're doing, and try to stick around for a little bit, first of all. And as you get older, you can start, branching out and doing different things. But my focus was always, when I was in the NFL, it was always football. And football was always, while I was doing it, that was what I was into. This Amazon thing just kind of came up after I decided, I hurt my hip week one. So I had a whole season on IR and a whole season of, okay, well, this is probably the end. What am I going to do? And so that gave me some time to think about the transition a little bit. Amazon called. I'm thinking Thursday night football. I get to still spend the weekends with my kids. I get to stay connected. And that's one of the biggest things, I think, staying connected to all those friendships and relationships that we've made over the years. For me, this is a dream. I get to travel to a city on Wednesday. I usually have a couple of either college buddies or I've lived in the city before. So I'll go get to have a dinner with somebody or have a few drinks. The next day, it's like, you know, a college reunion. I get to go and hang out with all my buddies pregame, make fun of them and stretch lines, talk to them post game, get to see the equipment guys and the training staffs and just stay connected in that way. And then go home Friday and be a dad for the weekend and watch all the soccer games and football games and everything. So it was just a great timing wise throughout my week. It was wonderful. It helped me stay connected. And then also, I've always sat there and it's like, and you too, you have so much knowledge. So your way of passing on knowledge right now, a lot of it is going to be through maybe this podcast, but through your training facility and talking to these young kids about your experiences. And for me, I'm sitting there thinking, well, I've done this for 17 years. And I wasn't in the NFL because of my talent. It was more so because of my mind and the way I was able to do things and learn offenses. And so, like, if I don't coach, this all just goes away.
Yep.
And being an analyst is just another way for me to share those experiences and that perspective with people. And I found it to be really awesome. I've had a lot of fun with it. And now being part of a team, you want to talk about guys you don't like when you don't play with them, Richard Sherman. I mean, oh my goodness, playing against him, I hated him.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're on the same team. I get to interact and talk with him every single day. Like he's one of my teammates. I love him.
Yep.
We're like brothers now. So just being a part of something bigger than yourself, that all has really helped me ease the transition into civilian life.
100%, man. 100. Speaking of Rich, that's my guy, and obviously he went through it a little bit and had a moment, and you know, it goes back to like the Miles Garrett situation, right? Like everyone has their opinion, and I'm like, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand true rage, don't speak on Miles Garrett in that moment. I can assure you, people that understand true rage understand that moment. Does he regret it? Yes. Is he wish he wouldn't have bashed another man's head in? Of course he does. My God, he's a human being. But true rage is no different than being drunk. So get me severely drunk and I promise you that door would have came down. And it's just like everybody has their opinions on everything, and you're in such a limelight. And I'm just so proud of Rich for showing so many young kids and young athletes and people out there like, hey man, I made a mistake. It got blasted all over the world. Everyone saw me at my lowest and weakest point. Obviously, I'm sure alcohol was involved, which turns us all into people that we aren't. And just to come back and stand in front of the camera and show the world like I'm still Rich, I'm still the dude I've always been. Not that he gives a shit if I'm proud of him or not, but I've been around Rich a long time. We're the same age. We played in the Senior Bowl together. Like, been around him at NFLPA for a long time. I have a high opinion of him, and I'm just so happy to see. I love seeing that. I love seeing dudes that make mistakes because we're all human. We're all so dang flawed that come back and just stand up and say, "Hey, yeah, man, I screwed up, but here I am, and I'm not going anywhere." And it just that does more than any All Pro he ever got because little boys across the world are watching that, and maybe one day when they screw up, they say, "You know what? Yeah, I made a mistake, but it ain't gonna define me," and that
Yeah.
fires me up. And Miles is the same way. I mean, the guy came back, became the highest paid rusher in football, and obviously that's a football thing, and he's a great player. But he didn't let that moment define him. And I got a lot of appreciation for guys that make mistakes and get in a position to where millions of people see them at their worst.
Yeah.
People in the real world, it's your wife, your kids. It's the beehive mentality. Everything looks pleasant on the outside, but inside's a beehive. Your wife and kids see you at your worst, but that's probably it. These dudes, when the millions of people see you at your worst and you stand up and own it, that fires me up. But I love Rich.
I'm just gonna say this too, man. I don't know how long this podcast thing that you're gonna do is going on. Maybe it'll be one episode, maybe it'll be 10,000 episodes, but I am tuning in because you have such a good way with people. You have such a wisdom that you don't even know you have. And it is so fun just to listen to you spew nonsense. Like, I love it, man.
My
I absolutely
God.
love it. I'm on board. I am on board.
Well, you can send your. Right now, we're struggling a little bit. I was a backup tight end. We're trying to raise 10 million. The money you made with your hip was broken. You cashed the $10 million one on that year, didn't you?
I don't want to talk
Good for
about
you. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you do it. Go out $10 million for one game, baby. Little hip recovery. No, I love it, man, and I love you. But yeah, that's what kills me is like, dude, and I'm with you. Peyton Manning. I don't remember when I heard him say it. I'm pretty sure maybe Gruden had him come talk in Oakland. But he reinforced what you just said, and I had lived by that code my whole career because I was like you, bro. I wasn't good enough. My God, like I said, I'm not shy. My combine numbers speak for themselves. I was the slowest tight end of the combine. Got pigeonholed into a Y early, which I should have been. Not, pigeonholed's probably the wrong word. That's what I was, and and I just had to be the best at one thing every day, or my career was over. Boom, done, gone. See ya. And I wasn't going to get into real estate and buy strip malls. I wasn't going to get hooked up with all these investment guys. I wasn't going to do all these things that distracted me because I knew nothing could pay a redneck from Powell, Tennessee, $3 million a year except football. And
it.
one of those $3 million losses would have been a poor decision on my part to get into other things. That's how I believed. And that's what Peyton said. Like I said, I think him and Gruden are boys, so Gruden brought him in, and he said, "Listen, man, all these teammates my whole career, they had all these things going on and had this over here and this over there, and they were talking in the locker room about this barbershop they were opening or this storage unit complex they had just bought or whatever. And next thing you know, they couldn't play dead in the Western." He said, "Where the dudes that were just all ball." Just consistently got in the cold tub every day at the same time, ate the same breakfast there, da 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 da. But once again, I swear, Fitz, I think dudes that are all ball like that and obsessed and never come up for air like me and you did, they don't get to sit around 15 weeks on IR. They don't get to go play one more for Arthur Smith just to have fun and let their family go party in Atlanta for a year, knowing damn well this is it. Um, I feel like it's a double edged sword, and it worked for me and you because we were all in and it worked out and we were blessed. But when you're all in, all in, all in, and then let's say it would have ended year 8 for you, or if it would have ended year 8 for me, like dudes, it's just there's just nothing. Even you, Harvard educated, handsome.
Oh wow, thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime, anytime. All the things you are, like even you are saying, man, I get to stay around what's familiar, and that's why I built this training facility because it's like I want to be. I got some combine guys coming in next month. I'm gonna try to help these young jokers get to the NFL and accomplish their dreams and be sitting here with me and you one day. But like the majority of guys, they don't get to stay around anything familiar. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. I don't know what
Well,
the
it's also it's the hard stop of not having that day to day structure and that day to day camaraderie with your guys, where all of a sudden it's a lonely world out there,
man.
and you're no longer the football player Lee Smith. You are just the regular guy that hasn't had a real job in 15 years, Lee Smith,
Hundred
and you
percent.
got to try to figure it out.
And guess what? I've learned in the real world, you can't get in a fist fight over a ping pong game go, and go eat lunch together.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, no, that just doesn't happen in corporate America.
correct. For some reason I feel like I probably wouldn't be great in corporate America. But
Yeah, I agree with that assessment.
well, pause.
That's great.
First ever podcast, Hut Hut podcast, named after this
We
guy,
did it.
my dude in the hat, looking like Tin Cup. I love you, bro. Pickles, Wheaties, Liza. Let's see her one more time. In the house. Look at that. What's
There
that
she
thing called?
is.
A crochet, flower button.
Valley High School's finest right there.
You know when you build a
West
house,
Des Moines, Iowa.
just she's got better with age. She's like a fine wine. Uh,
All right, brother.
all right, buddy. Much love to you, bro. I love you. Give your family my love, and keep sending me updates on the kids and pictures. And I'm gonna come see you soon.
Please do.
All right, buddy.
Bring everybody.
No
Not just
question.
you. Bring everybody.
Take a
All right.
take a road trip in an RV. I'll come see you soon.
All right.
Love
Later,
you, bro.
brother.
See you, man.
See you.